My guest tonight's a very talented actor who's the voice of, my God, so many characters on The Simpsons, including Moe the bartender and Chief Wiggum. He also stars in Brockmire, which will have its series finale tomorrow night on IFC. Please welcome Hank Azaria. Hank, how are you?
All right, Conan, hanging in there. Boy, I didn't realize, this is a dream come true. I didn't realize I had to appear on a late night talk show with these stupid things dangling out of my ears. So,
well, you know, part of me suspects that you're listening to Spotify right now while you talk to me.
I am tuning you out as best I can, but I'll try to hang with you. I'm like your teenage son, Conan. I'm like, yeah, you know, I got it. Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Hey, Hank, I'm over here. I'm talking to you.
No, I know. What?
You know, it's really funny. I was thinking about this today. I think I met you. It's insane, but it might be 30 years ago.
I think it was over 30. What season did you start on this? You were the new guy in season one.
I was the first new guy, not in season one, but I think I was, I don't even remember. I think I came in about 3 years in or something.
Yeah, so it was about exactly 30 years ago then.
Yeah, and you could not have been nicer to me. And it's amazing. I'll tell you this, my son is 14 years old. And he's a comedy fan. And one of the ways that we've bonded, meaning the first time he really looked at me with respect, was when he saw my name pop up on a Simpsons episode. And then I saw him just kind of look over and go like, well, you're not a complete idiot. But it was so funny because he didn't even know you were coming on the show. And 2 days ago, he just brought up your name and he said, do you know how many voices? A friend of his challenged him to name all the people you voice on The Simpsons, and he started rattling them off. He couldn't get them all, but I guess that's a challenge for real Simpsons fanatics, is how many voices has Hank done? How many do you think it's been?
First of all, I guess it's no surprise that you're raising a real comedy nerd there, but that's another conversation.
That was mandatory.
Yeah.
He's really good at sports, but I broke his wrist so that he had to just...
Yeah, you want to discourage that.
Yeah.
No son of mine's going to be good at sports. I don't know why you were Northern England in that improv. But yeah, it depends on how you count. Like if you look at some website, I have like 200 and some odd.
Right.
But like most of that is just one line that I did as my own voice, you know, in whatever episode. But for all intents and purposes, there's like 30 to 35 running characters that I'll really do every week. But every sound I can make has been harvested for this show. Every human noise that I can make, every voice I do has been used in the last 32 years.
I was always impressed with how much you really put your all into these people. And I think sometimes doing some of these characters like Moe, that's tough. That's like shreds your chords.
Yeah, Moe, it's raspy. So if you talk like this for too long, eventually you're gonna shred yourself. And if Moe's screaming, then I gotta save the screaming for the end. And, you're right. We do put our all into it, which I learned watching. When we met, I was 24 or something.
Right.
And I learned watching especially Dan Castellaneta and Harry Shearer and how they committed so fully, which I was so wide on. I'm like, wow, these guys really go for it. They're not embarrassed at all, even though they're in a mic. And yeah, there's certain voices I saved, like Duffman will blow me out in a second. I have to save Duffman for the end. And I actually dread it. Like, oh no, I got a lot of Duffman to do today.
Right.
It actually does hurt. I'm not complaining. This is a very good job.
Yes, we're not allowed to complain.
You know what? Here's an anecdote for you. I once, though, my voice blows out rather easily, so I have to watch it. And I was having a rough time in my life, and I got in a screaming match with someone. Like really, no kidding around. Like it was a really bad.
Right.
And even worse than that, like I was in my car afterwards, and I was like screaming. I was so upset. And I totally blew out my voice. Like I really blew it out. And it didn't come back for almost 2 weeks. And I got really scared. Like I couldn't get like beyond here. which is in my line of work a disaster, as you might imagine.
Exactly.
And I actually I scared myself so bad that I got my vocal cords insured.
Really?
I did.
You're always like, you've heard like Baryshnikov insured his legs. And
yes.
Pianists insure their fingers. It actually kind of makes sense that you would insure your vocal cords.
I did. I mean, if you think about the revenue I'm lucky enough to bring in from doing The Simpsons, I mean, that was a long time ago. A lot of money would have gone bye-bye if I couldn't make voices anymore.
Is there, if after all of these characters and all these that you've inhabited, is there one that's your personal favorite? Like it's just always fun to do?
The one I love the most is Mo, because he sounds like he's from Queens, and I'm from Queens, and I used to bartend, and he currently bartends. The one I enjoy the most, Conan, my friend, is Professor Frank. To me, it's the vocal equivalent of a peanut. I cannot stop once I start. If I get going, I simply cannot stop. It annoys the gadoodles out of my wife, but I very much enjoy it. And with each... Sorry, yes.
Well, no, I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just that, like, one of the things I always tell is you guys do great improvs, so many great improvs with all the characters. But with Frank, I can tell that you get to throw in the kitchen sink, little things that you can throw in there yourself that amuse you.
Exactly. And with each take, I'll add one, and I never want to stop. But the first line will be, fairly straight for him. Like, hello, Conan, how are you? Take two will be, hello, Conan, how are you? Vlohivik. Take three will be, hello, Conan, how are you? Glohibin. And I won't want to stop till by the end the monologue that follows is like, hello, Conan, how are you? He said when he was sitting and touching the thing that he shouldn't be. And they'll eventually have to say, enough, we got it. I'm like, you sure? Because I'd like to keep going.
I know. Those are probably days where they're like, no, seriously. Reese and Gene or whoever were like, we're good. And you're like, no. I want to do this for 45 more minutes.
Yeah, you can't be depressed making that. I think that's what it is. It's like a natural mood elevator. If you're down and you start talking this way, it's very difficult to remain depressed, Conan. Try it at home.
Someday you should try just doing something very serious with that voice. Like if you're ever asked to give a eulogy, you should get up there and do it as Frank.
Ladies and gentlemen, my Uncle Philip was a delightful man. Yeah, that was how we kind of created Brockmire, was
right.
There's a baseball announcer who talks like this. If you put this voice in every circumstance, having sex or wasted on drugs or in a very serious relationship discussion with his girlfriend, does it still sound like this? And does he still give the count afterwards?
It's funny because I think younger people may not know this, but I saw it right away with Brockmire, is that you are channeling how, it's changed, but that's how you had to sound in the 70s.
Yeah.
And, into the 80s, if you wanted to be in a color announcer or just a play-by-play announcer, that's how you had to sound.
And it wasn't only sports announcers, it was a lot of television pitchmen, right? The Ginsu, in Japan, the hand is a lethal weapon, but this theory does not work on a tomato. It's the Ginsu.
In Japan, the hand can be used like a knife. But this method doesn't work with a tomato. That's why we use the Ginsu.
Or, Popeil, always Popeil's pocket fisherman.
Yes,
It was always this voice selling you. That was like the generic, vanilla, television voice, announcer voice, and it bled into sports. And then working with Harry Shearer on The Simpsons, who, his Vin Scully is so beyond dead on that you can't tell the difference between him and the actual Scully. We would joke around. He pointed out that baseball announcers can say anything they like as long as they give the count afterwards. So that was a lot of the genesis of the Brockmire thing too, is how inappropriate can you speak on the air describing your sex life or your drug use, and then as Pedro delivers a slatter into the dirt, want to know.
Now, is this true? You've had success on just every platform imaginable. But I understand you're
except for Quibi. I'm nothing on Quibi. Not yet.
You know, Quimby should go on Quibi. That seems like a natural.
Why, you are right, Conan.
Yeah. I'm just curious. Your mom, and this is very common, but your mom somewhat withholding of praise when it comes to your career. Is that or not afraid to be critical?
Yeah, she's supportive in her way. She's 92 now, so she doesn't get most of it.
Right.
But a lot of it goes by her. But you can imagine my 92-year-old mother watching Brockmire. It's, as she would say, it's not her cup of tea. But she can tell that I seem to be having a wonderful time. But for everything with my mother is the surface. It's like with Brockmire. It's like, yes, I saw the show. Very funny. Very dismissive. Very funny. Did you have to wear that jacket? Was that necessary? I'm like, yeah, Mom, it's the character's wardrobe. Or I was Gargamel in the Smurfs movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. Very funny. What's with your fakakta haircut in that thing? I'm like, Mom, it's Gargamel. It's not, you know, it's not, I'm not James Bond.
These are not choices I'm making.
No, he's
the character.
Yeah, he's bald with hair coming out like this. There's nothing I can do about it. But did you have to wear that schmata black robe? Like, yes, in fact, that's the character of Gargamel.
I picture you yelling at her back as Mo. I don't know why. Just like
she sounds like, it's been pointed out that my mother sounds a little bit like Mo. That's
how is I know you and your family are in isolation, as we all are. How's everybody doing? Are you guys holding up okay?
We're okay. You know, everybody gets their turn to have a mini breakdown, right? I don't know how it is at your house, but
so I would say we're fine, but then there are moments where you realize we're not supposed to be together this much.
Exactly. Yes, my wife's pet name for me, which got retired for a long time, has come back into play in this quarantine time. And she lovingly refers to me as the grumpy old bitch. And that is, she has made a reappearance. Absolutely.
Are you the grumpy old bitch sometimes?
Absolutely. I have a little bit of a short fuse. I'm a little irritable. I was the kid, you know, who on your little league team, who if I made a decent play at third and threw it to you and you were at first and you bobbled it, I would go, "You suck." I was that kid. So, and that has carried over a bit into my adulthood. And like, for example, like Mario Kart, for example, has figured big enough. My son is about to be 11 and right. We play a lot of the Mario Kart. Is one of the things we do to
sure.
But I had to put that, like when we were pregnant with said son, I was going through a little bit of an edgy time in my life. Frankly, I was newly sober. I'll say it. There I said it.
Good for you. That's great.
Thank you. Yes, about, I guess, 12, 13 years ago. And a little edgy. And I think I had cross-addicted, shall we say, into video games. Because there I am playing Mario Kart alone against online against teenagers, I think mostly in Japan, who knew all the cheat codes and I didn't. And I would get so infuriated, Conan, losing to these kids that I'd be screaming in rage at the television set, just screaming. And my wife was finally like, look, I understand you're going through stuff, but once the baby comes, I can't have this in the house. You cannot be screaming at the top of your lungs.
And what was happening specifically in Mario Kart that was making you scream? You said they're using a cheat code. What's happening?
I'm not familiar with the Mario Kart, but there's a thing you can get, which is like the star, which is you become this like rainbow lit up and you're invulnerable. You go twice as fast as the other racers and nothing can hurt you. And these kids, they had a cheat code where they could just call it up at will. So even if I beat them in the race, they would pull up that rainbow thing and they'd run right over me. And that in particular would drive me insane.
I'm sorry. That's what makes it beautiful, is that you're angry about something that's supposed to be beautiful and wondrous. This great explosion of rainbows and marshmallows that makes your Mario Kart zoom through the air and you're screaming at these other kids.
Well, it's good if you have it. Your opponents hate it.
I know, but I'm still saying.
Yeah, no, I'm screaming bloody murder at a rainbow kart at Waluigi and his rainbow trail.
Yeah.
And so I'm flipping out one day. day like that, and it comes to me. And my fantasy, by the way, is to smash the television. I want to just take it and smash the screen of the TV, which would be, that'd be a lose-lose at that point.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
But it came to me, the clouds parted. I realized in this moment I can't do this anymore. And I took the video game console, took it outside into the concrete, and I smashed it into bits, itsy bitsy bits. And it was great. It was a win-win. I got it all out, and it ensured that I quit playing. And my wife came home and she's like, "How you doing?" I'm like, "I think I have good news." And I showed her the game smashed to smithereens, and she, with a terrified look on her face, went, "Yeah, that's great, honey. Congratulations to us all."
But great. Here you are 13 years later, and all is well. I don't think you've screamed at your son. I think
I haven't. I have to watch it though. I have to be forever vigilant. I get real edgy. I get real game 7.
Yeah.
With this stuff. My son can beat me at Mario Kart now. I just have to accept that.
This is part of getting older. You know what I mean? It's part of getting older, and you have to accept it. Well, Brockmire, make sure I get the word out. The Brockmire series finale airs tomorrow on IFC, and seasons 1 through 3 are available to binge on Hulu.
Yes.
Hank, you describe yourself as the grumpy bitch, but I've never seen that side of you. You're always incredibly nice to me and to everybody I know. And quick shout out. My son is a huge fan of The Simpsons and of yours, particularly loves you. And then the other night we watched Quiz Show.
Oh yeah.
He saw you pop up and I was like, yep. And it was great. You've done so much great work. I hope you're a very happy man.
I am. The grumpiness is easing and the happiness is increasing as I go on.
You're describing, like Frank with the happiness up and the
yes,
anyway,
with the joy and the love and the hugging in my shorts.
Really nice talking to you.
You too, Conan.
Yeah, take care.
Stay well.